Today is Saturday, May 15th, 2021. I'm Ramon Gonzalez Arciglio. The perpetrators are tampering with my Puerto Rican nationality, and I believe the politicals and whoever, military, U.S. military, politicals and FBI, whatever they are, they're tampering with my middle name, which is just the middle name. Here is just a picture of what they did to my father's uncle and my father's aunt's husband. Both of them were named. I'm just gonna name A because I'm not gonna even say the name because I don't want it repeated in my head. They just call it A. Their first name was A. There's the first one. My father's uncle was A. Gonzalez, and my father's aunt's husband was A. Gonzalez. They're not related, but they just have, that's how many Gonzalez's there are in Puerto Rico. I'm just Puerto Rican descent. My mother is Puerto Rican, but she was born in Brooklyn. My father was born in Puerto Rico, and I just have a Puerto Rican ancestry. The perp uses my father's girlfriend's kids with the same letter A. Let's just call it A, as their last name is A. That's like somebody might look. For example, if my first name is Ramon, which that's a fact. My first name is Ramon Gonzalez. That's all my name. I put Morsiglio because that's my mother's maiden name, and she's Lisa Morsiglio. The perp keeps tampering with my identity, skews my social security or any ID that I have. They just skew it to some other nationality, which they're using my middle name. And when they did this, within the past 10 years, my father's uncle died, who has A. Gonzalez, the same last name. The same. It's not the same last name. Their first name. They murdered my father's uncle. They murdered my father's aunt's husband with the same name. They have the A, which is the same as his girlfriend, who's from another country. They murdered them with the same name. It's like they follow that name and then they start murdering people. Like they hide in the name, and then they try to cover it up. And so both of them within the past 10 years were murdered by the perpetrators. And they both happen to, that my father's uncle has land, a nice view in a mountain. He just owns land. The other one was a pediatrician or something like that. He obtained a lot of money. They murdered him. They just keep tampering with my middle name, which is the same as their first name, which is not my last name. My last name is Gonzalez, and Morsiglio is my mother's last name. That separates me from everybody else. My father's uncle was Puerto Rican. His aunt's husband was Puerto Rican. I'm Puerto Rican. I was just born in the United States. My father's girlfriend's son keeps following me. And his last name is A. We're just gonna say A because I don't want to give up his name, which is my middle name, not my surname, and they keep flip-flopping some homeland or political or whatever. Some army generals, I don't know they're all conspiring to steal my father's money. Even they're using illegals, or I don't know if they're illegal or not. I don't know if they're citizens or not. I don't know how they got here. I know that their father was a drug dealer. My father used to work for the post office. It was a federal job. He used to deliver mail, the U.S. mail. Their father was a drug dealer, and he's probably corrupted. The perp keeps moving him. My father's girlfriend. I had an apartment, in 2013, but since 2008 to 2013 in Brooklyn, He got kicked out of his house, and he wanted to. My father had to move into the basement instead of him getting his own place. He had to move into the basement. So I decided I don't want people walking through my apartment to get to the basement. So I moved to Puerto Rico by myself. Then my father moves here, and then he allowed that same person to come to Puerto Rico to live here. Now the homeland or whatever powers that target people, they're tampering with my Puerto Rican nationality using his last name, which is A. We're just gonna call it A. That's not my surname. My surname is Gonzalez. I put Morsiglio because that's my mother's surname. They keep flip-flopping and following him. I don't know where he lives in Puerto Rico. He lives with a white girlfriend. He has tattoos. I don't have any tattoos. He has a lot of women. He keeps jumping from women to women to women. He must have had like 8 women in the past 10 years that I seen him with. I haven't seen him with a lot of that many, but if I count, I've seen a lot of women, different women. It might be around 8 years, eight women. They've just tried to force speech 8 years. I've been here in Puerto Rico since 2013, September 3rd. I had problems with my flight. I had to buy another ticket because they flip-flopped something. So I came on the correct day, but a different time. And the perp uses anything to he flip-flops. It's like they play ignorant, stupid, and then they pretend that you're communicating with them, and then they pretend that they don't know anything. You're communicating with them, and then they don't know anything. That's all the perps do. He comes down here to live with his girlfriend. My father makes the worst decisions. Like he just doesn't, he's like unwise when it comes to certain things. Like he lets people, So I don't have anything to do with him. But the perpetrators keep tampering with my Puerto Rican nationality using his last name, and he keeps following. And it appears like they want stuff to fall in their laps, and then they're just gonna snatch it from them, and it stems from my father's New York lottery winnings. The last note I want to make is perpetrators appears to be scouting women and then coding. They're also controlling these women, bringing them to the stores. When I'm at the stores, they bring like voluptuous women towards me. I have no control over that. When I go to the stores, if I go to the store, some female walks in, they just drag them using telepathy. They don't acknowledge the telepathy, but they use it against me. They probe for my youth stuff, which is irrelevant. They put me on this in 2007, which I didn't do anything to steal my father's lottery winnings. Their motive is to steal people's stuff and to scout women. And I believe they're giving FBI's or military or whoever, politicals, women to overlook things. So they have to look into that.